Great writing, Rachel. This is really a wonderful job describing your intent, and that's important for designers. It really is. I mean, this we're in the field of communication, so be able to verbally communicate the intent of your design, I think is really important for designers, specifically as it relates to your relationship with what you're in your professional career. When that time comes, your relationship with your art director, creative director, and in a lot of cases with the client. So really getting your thoughts down like this tells me a lot about the way you're approaching, which tells me a lot about the way you're learning, and that's really important. So please keep up this wonderful synopsis of your experience as you turn your assignments in. This is great. So let's address a couple of things here. I think it represents the festival well. I choose a sunset background because that's the time when the fog rolled in. So it's basically a dusk scene, right? Which I really wanted to include because the fog was one of the things that made the festival so fun and unique. I chose a bubbly, almost graffiti type font to represent the art and music festival. I included the bridge, fog, tree, mushroom, and forest to show some aspects of the festival. All right, cool, good job. Okay, so I was thinking about what include two lights coming up from the bottom. I agree. I think that might be a little much, but I'll talk about that in a second. I'm not sure if that would be too good. So use highlights on the bridge. I love the bridge, by the way. I'll talk about that as well. Some more depth, maybe in the mushrooms too. I'm not sure if the colors mushrooms are green right under the title fits the rest of the scene. I do like the green though. Let's go right ahead and take a look. You say you liked, oh, this green. I see what you're saying. Yeah, the green's a good continuation here because you used the green over here. So that's fantastic. All right, let's talk about the. I think the bridge is really fantastic. You've got these little highlight and shadow areas that really do a nice job adding depth and dimension. Um, you might even consider trying to feature that bridge a little bit more, only because it's so well done. So one thing that we could do is maybe increase the size of these archways, or these kind of pillars, just to increase that just a little bit, might emphasize that a little bit more in the composition. I think that Golden Gate is the emphasis and the focal point, um, because it is the festivals in Golden Gate Park, right? So to get immediate recognition by using the Golden Gate Bridge, that's smart. And I also think it's smart that you're depicting the bridge, but it's not set in a scene over water. It's just kind of depicting the bridge. I think that's pretty cool. One of the things I think is not working is the fog. And hats off to you for an extremely difficult endeavor. Illustrating fog is next to impossible. So right now, I think it might be sending some of the kind of wrong messages. Is it's not really recognizable as fog. You see what I'm saying? It almost looks like, oh gosh, it's just so difficult to tell what this is. Has the viewer not have privilege to knowing that it is fog. So in other words, in your writing, you mentioned that it's fog, but without the assistance of that writing, the viewer looks at this and I just don't think it's immediately recognizable as fog. So my recommendation is not these seem to cause more questions and kind of confusion than it does depicting fog. My recommendation is to move those. Um, the actual configuration in the background, I think since this is dusk and you know you're communicating something about the festival itself, right? Not a particular event that happened during the festival. Okay, so you want to communicate the festival, not the fact that it happened to have been foggy at the last festival. So again, I just don't see this as a critical part of message making. So I would remove the fog. The tree, I think the tree is definitely pointing to winter slash late fall as the tree is barren. And if that's the message you want to send, that's fantastic. I would definitely go with brown in the tree and something about the way the tree is configured. What I would recommend doing is taking this tree and reducing it and maybe bringing it down here. Because right now it creates this ambiguous relationship with the bridge because the tree is behind the bridge and then there's also the trunk of the tree coming down here, just kind of ending abruptly, right? So I'm not real sure if that's the best way to. My recommendation would be bring the tree down, maybe draw a couple of other trees to indicate, a wooded area, since you feel that trees are an important part. And I'm not familiar with Golden Gate Park, so I don't know if there's a heavily wooded area or if that's indeed what you're trying to depict here by showing one tree. Um, I think the psychedelic mushrooms are pretty obvious in their intent. So, and I'll talk about those in 1 second. But the tree, I would recommend this. So try experimenting with the tree. Maybe reduce the size, change it to brown, add some kind of the same kind of shading that you've used here to indicate the same light source. Bring it down here and show a little wooded area right here with a couple of trees. It'll also increase um, your use of texture, and it will overlapping will imply depth as well. As far as the mushroom area goes, it's kind of the same thing. I think it's a great concept, and it adds a lot of visual meaning as to kind of the demeanor of the festival itself. But I would add some other colors, so maybe even some warm colors to this too. Psychedelic mushrooms, use psychedelic colors. Why not, right? Um, so maybe think about that. Adding some other colors. The type itself, I think it's begging, begging for color. And I think the obvious choice would be to just to continue the red in the really neat typographic technique though with that kind of offset um, dimension. That's really cool. Good job there. Okay, other than that, I think it's really a fantastic start. Oh, the mushrooms too. I would add more mushrooms in here too. Maybe some going this way. These are all angled the same way, and they're all kind of really close to being very close to being the same. So again, I would add some different mushrooms. Maybe some going this way. Add some colors to the mushrooms. Get this area a little bit more densely populated with texture overlapping techniques to indicate and reinforce the depth associated with the piece. Okay, I know I just threw a lot at you, but it's just such a wonderful start. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention about the background is can we indicate dusk with the background? Right now, it just looks like daytime, right? So maybe darkening up that background, maybe even adding some subtle stars, some really subtle stars in the background there will indicate dusk, and maybe try to get that communicated meaning that it is a nighttime event, right? All right. So if I can clarify anything I've said, please let me know. Um, so if you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be sure to get right back to you. But those are my recommendations for moving forward. And again, please let me know if you have any questions at all. Right? Great start. Thank you very much.